My name is Barbara McAlister. I grew up in Muskogee, Oklahoma before television. My father was Dr. Lawrence McAlister, my mother Claire Elizabeth Edwards. My father was born in Webbers Falls, Indian Territory, 1905. I had two brothers, and I've always referred to them as my much older brothers. As a child, I was always out in the sun. I was always out in the cold. I would ride my horse in shorts when I was young, down 13th or 12th Street, and people used to say they would see me ride by in little shorts, and it would be 0 degrees out. It seems like there was more snow back then too, so than there is now, and my brothers and I would go sledding up on Turner Hill in Muskogee. When I was a child, you could start at the top and just fly down this hill, and it was wonderful. I loved playing in the snow. What kind of games did I play as a child? Hopscotch, jacks, skipping over water on the street and the sidewalks, skipping over the cracks on the sidewalks, king of the hill, and foot racing, and I could outrun every boy in the neighborhood except for a boy named Bobby, and Bobby had a gold tooth. I had one doll and as a gift from my parents, and I didn't like a doll. I was more athletic. I wanted a horse from the time I could remember. It was the doll was put aside, and back in those days, it's hard to believe, there were still horses and wagons going down the street in Muskogee. And I would see this one horse and wagon go by, and I would run out of the house and chase them down the street saying, could I ride your horse, or can I drive the horse? And once in a while, they would let me up in the wagon. When I was 7, I started riding horses, learning how to ride, and then at age 8, for Christmas, I received my first horse. He pulled up in a trailer on Christmas morning, backed out of the trailer in his black saddle and bridle. And so I got on that horse, and I think I never got off of him. I won a barrel racing trophy, 2nd place, and I still have that trophy. I should have brought it and shown it to you. But I loved barrel racing, but I never went outside of the Muskogee Roundup Club. So it was incredible, wonderful times, and I loved moonlight rides on Wednesday and Saturday nights when the rodeo was taking place, and after I had barrel raced, then I would go out under the moonlight if it was a full moon, and just loved looking at the stars. I was a pretty wild horseback rider, and I would run and jump on a horse with no saddle, no bridle, and just kick it, and off we would go. So I had quite a few injuries. Never a broken bone, so it was good food as a child, made from scratch. And so my father began his practice during the Depression, I think around 1929. So he was paid in chicken eggs and white lightning, whatever somebody could barter, with him. And I do remember having a friend out at the Roundup Club stand up on a horse where you're standing up in the saddle on the horse, and the horse took a step forward and whoever it was fell off. I laughed, and I knew that they were okay, and I laughed and laughed. Wasn't more than a month later, talking of karma, about a month later I decided I'm going to stand up on Sonny Mac's saddle. So I stood up, same person, I don't remember the name, was there. My horse took a step forward, and I went flying off the horse on my face, and she laughed and laughed and laughed, and I was furious, of course. So karma kind of came back and kicked me. Well, my father had a beautiful singing voice. He was a trained singer, had studied in high school, and they had a quartet, an a cappella quartet in high school, or a barbershop quartet it was called, and he and the 3 other men would go serenade the girls from the high school. They would go to their homes and stand under the windows and sing. And so the first song I ever learned was the Wiegenlied by Brahms, the lullaby, Guten Abend, Gute Nacht. And I think I was 3 years old when I could sing it by memory. And my father would sing me to sleep at night with different German songs. When he was in medical school, he was helped through college with room and board by singing in a German Lutheran church. So he learned fluent German and then continued to sing in the German Lutheran church. So he always sang. He had a beautiful voice. My mother was an accomplished pianist, so she would accompany him. And of course, as a child, I did not really realize what an incredible pianist she was. I remember my parents had friends that would come to our house and stand around the piano and sing. And that's probably where I found my voice, because I would sit under the piano and they would be singing with beautifully trained voices from that 12th, 13th, 14th Street neighborhood. And I'd be under there going, ah, screaming away. And I would get sent to my room because I'm sure it wasn't pretty. But that's where I think I discovered my voice. And then when I was in 4th grade, my 4th grade teacher was Jean Parker, who became my first voice teacher when I was 13. And she had a beautiful soprano voice. And I remember she was in my church, Presbyterian church. And so I grew up in a children's choir. Though I was too scared to sing, I was very shy, which is why I loved horses, because I could get away from everybody that scared me. So I heard her sing and I went up to her and said, I want to sing like you do. And so I began studying with her and just never quit. Graduated with a degree in singing, a vocal degree. Can't do anything but sing, so I left myself no way of retreat from what I wanted to do in my life. I got into the Dallas Summer Musicals, so I worked with people like Ginger Rogers. Nowadays, you young people don't know these names. Very famous. Ginger Rogers was the partner of Fred Astaire. And Carol Burnett, I worked with Carol Burnett. So I learned a lot about theater. I was in the chorus, Dallas. And then the next summer I was Central City as an apprentice in opera. So every summer I was out doing theater. I always compare singing opera, you have to project to a big theater of people, and sometimes 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000 seat auditoriums. And I always compare it to riding a horse at a full gallop with the wind blowing through your hair. That's the feeling it gives me. I remember I robbed my piggy bank when I was little bitty. I could have been 7 or so, and I had a piggy bank that I was saving money, and I decided I want to go to town and buy little plastic horses. I love these little plastic horses. So I bashed in my piggy bank, got on the bus by myself, unbeknownst to my parents, went downtown, bought, I don't know, $10 worth of little plastic horses, of which I still have 3 or 4, came back, and my mother was waiting for me saying, who robbed your piggy bank? And I said, somebody robbed my piggy bank? And she said, yes. And she said, if you tell me the truth, I won't spank you. If you lie to me, then you're going to be in your room for about a month. So I finally admitted that I had robbed my piggy bank and what I did with the money. So I would say, never tell a lie, because it will come back and bite you, you know. Listen to the birds. Listen to the crickets and the frogs. Enjoy every moment and look down at the ground and little bugs. I used to lie on the grass and just lie in the grass and watch the ants and watch little bugs, little worms and frogs. I loved it. And I thought the other day, wouldn't it be nice if I could just find a spot and go lie in the grass and